Hello guys, so a question I get asked a lot is what should I eat before training? And that's a very good question because we want to fuel our workouts properly. And the short answer is we want to eat some carbohydrates long enough that they're not just sitting in our stomach before training. So our blood sugar's elevated and our stomach doesn't feel empty. So I would eat typically like oats or fruit or bread, something like that, something very like simple and easily digested, just to kind of like settle your stomach. So I'll tell you what we don't want to do is we don't want to eat a heavy meal too close to training, because then the food is going to be sitting in our stomach and we're going to feel like a bit slow, lethargic, like we're trying to use our blood to digest the food. And then if you train too hard, you might feel sick. So if you're training in the afternoon or late, you don't want to eat a big meal too close to training. You want to leave enough time that meal is kind of like mostly digested. And we want to focus on carbohydrates because carbohydrates are going to give us energy. And as long as you're having enough protein the rest of the day, you don't need protein like right before training or during protein. That's a little bit of a myth to sell, like supplements like BCAAs, like you got to prevent muscle breakdown. As long as you're eating enough protein throughout the rest of the day, you'll be fine. And you also want to avoid having too much fat, because fat is slow digesting. It kind of like sits in your stomach and it doesn't give that energy that carbohydrates do. For intense exercise, fat is a more like long-term like source of energy. Your body's mainly going to burn like the glycogen from carbohydrates straight after training. And we want to avoid too much fiber, so I probably wouldn't eat like salads or vegetables before training, although they're perfect to have the rest of the day. So I'd avoid meat, because that's quite high protein. It's a bit slower to digest, especially red meat. So when we eat carbohydrates, that will elevate our blood sugar, but it does take several hours for the full process to actually store that energy that we can use. So the main benefit of having the food before training is it stops our stomachs from being empty. So if we've got empty stomachs, it's going to feel more uncomfortable and it's going to reduce your tolerance for hard work. So it's quite individual. You have to play around with it a little bit. So for me personally, I would eat like some fruit or some oats or something like that about an hour before training, sometimes less, because I am quite good at digesting food. But if you digest food slowly, then you might want to push that meal before training. And if you've had a decent meal a couple hours earlier, you might not even need anything straight before training. So I hope that's helpful for you guys. And if you have any questions, please let me know.